You know what's funny? That every time I've had a breakup, VP's had a breakup at the same time.
It's like how periods syncs, like for women. That's how our breakups sync.
Our breakups and relationships have always been sinking since the beginning.
So whenever she finds someone, I'm like, okay, that means I will also get someone soon.
But it doesn't work for situationships though.
Yeah, that's
Just
simply
heartbreak.
just real relationships. Yeah.
I'm Malvika,
And I'm VP, and welcome to Lost the Plot.
and we are talking about heartbreaks and breakups and what really sucks.
Yeah, and I don't think we have so much of experience with heartbreaks.
Do you want more experience with heartbreak? What is wrong with you?
No, I don't want too many, but I'm telling comparatively, when we talk to our friends and everything, I feel we have very less experiences.
I think compared to a lot of our friends at least, we have not experienced
Very
heartbreak with a lot of people.
Yeah. And also very heavy ones also, I feel.
I've experienced them very
Where
well.
we've lived with them for so many years and stuff.
Intensity cannot just be dependent on how long you live with someone.
But still, I'm saying, when you move into the stages where you live with someone for a very long time, you get a dog with them, you get a pet with them, that's like a very intense, and then you make them meet your parents.
I also feel like the intensity really gets more the more older you grow. I don't know if that makes sense.
I
but
mean, your definition of love changes.
yeah, in adult relationships, I feel like things are more definitive and you're really committing to something. You know what you're getting into.
Yeah.
So when that doesn't work out, it's a very difficult situation. Like right now, if I'm going through a breakup, I'm not going to take it well. Not that I took it well last time, but right now, definitely not. I can't do it.
Yeah, I think it's because we know ourselves a bit more right now. And I think it's very hard for us to even imagine also getting into a relationship at this point of life.
Yeah.
Because after the last relationship, we're just like, is it going to happen again?
I feel like if I'm getting into a relationship again, I have to get married to the person. Otherwise, I'm not going to go and get into a relationship. I'm very serious when I say this, VP. I cannot date for anything else. If I date, I will
Obviously, you're dating to marry, but there are a lot of circumstances. It's not like there's a lot of things. You have to date and see, is that person marriage material? Are you feeling that, that is your forever person?
Yeah, you have to take time. But I feel like this feeling is so strong also because I think my last breakup was over 2.5 years back. Both of us. So for almost 3 years, we've not been with anyone. And 3 years is a long time. So
it is a very long time. I feel we've completely changed as people, even though we joke a lot about our previous heartbreak or our breakup, which was 2.5 years back. Even though we joke about it a lot right now, I think when it happened, it truly changed me as a person. It rewired my whole, whole mindset and everything. And I think it has completely made me a different person after it.
100%. I think even for me, everything I have in my life right now, I think it happened. It was a ripple effect from my breakup because good thing, bad thing, the person that I am today, how I think, it was an after effect of that breakup because my breakup happened on our graduation day. Oh my God.
2.5 years back.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you should tell that story.
A couple of months before my graduation day, there was someone who tried breaking into our house. And it was just me and that house at that point, all by myself.
I was back home.
Yeah, we was back home and she was supposed to reach the next day at 6 in the morning. Yeah. So I kind of kept the key in the window. And usually I never lock it with the latch you put on top. But thank God I did. And I went to sleep. And then at 4 in the morning, someone's trying to open the main door. So my instant reflex is it's either VP or it's my boyfriend at that point. So I'm kind of sleep talking and trying to understand who is trying to open. And the more I'm talking, I can hear that someone's really trying to break in and just break the door. And that's when I start getting paranoid and I just look at the door. So if this is the bed, I look at my bedroom door and that's open. And I'm not able to get up to close it. There's this window that's also open. And I'm just freaking out. And then I call my friends. They come over at like 4 in the morning. I call my ex. He comes over. Like, he was my boyfriend at that point. And then the police comes over.
Text me.
Yeah, I texted VP that, this is what's happening. So don't be surprised if you see police at our door when you enter. So this entire scene's happening. Someone really tried breaking into our house and like doing whatever. And my boyfriend at that point was very affected by this. He ended up missing his exam the next day.
Because this thing went on for quite a bit of time.
This really messed with his head, and that exam didn't happen. And that ended up being the reason for him to not graduate with our batch. We were in the same class, but he was the only person who did not graduate with us. And he did not take it lightly.
Yeah.
So we had a graduation after party the same day as our graduation, and he was extremely drunk and all of that. And he made a move on my very close friend at that point.
Yeah.
Do you want to tell them the timing of all of this?
It was graduation day, and it's like very late in the night. And then my parents flew down for graduation. And at this point, we're like staying at a hotel. And she's like in our house. And suddenly at like 12 in the night or something, I get a message saying, hey, I broke up. So we are not going to have a third roommate for our house. So we need to figure that out.
Yeah. So this is like 2 days into, keeping our stuff in the new house. I'm staying at my friend's place.
Yeah.
Practically, we've not moved into the house. Our third roommate is going to be my boyfriend at that point, with whom I just broke up with. And I text her.
I feel like it's so crazy. Imagine we finally take a house, which is out of our budget. It's pretty expensive. And we take a 3 BHK and we're like all set. Like it's a new, like
we're like starting fresh.
Yeah, new phase of life and everything. And the very day, like very next day of taking the house, this happens.
Yeah. So we've like paid half of the deposit, which is a lot. We're right out of college. Like it's just graduation day. So you can imagine that we've not even started our next phase of adulthood or whatever. And this happens.
And now we need to figure out what to tell our parents. Because first of all, they don't know a guy is moving in with us. We cannot tell that. To the owner only, we have told that we are cousins so that we could move in together. And in Bangalore, the deposit is so high.
Yeah.
It was like 6 months rent.
More than that. Even more than that.
It was so expensive that we had to give everything we saved up for this deposit.
And more. I remember having to ask my parents for it.
And now we need to ask for one more person's deposit and we're like dreading it. We don't know what to do. And at 12 in the night, my parents look at me and they're like, why are you tensed? Like, what is happening? Why? Like, I'm looking in the phone and I'm like tense. I'm like, what do I do? How do I go home? And then I'm like, Malu's not feeling well. I need to go home.
Yeah, and it like really late in the night when I'm like not even able to tell her what exactly happened because I'm texting her midway through whatever is happening. She's like, I'll come over. And I'm like, no, please, but
I'm like telling my parents, I need to leave. I need to go right now.
And this is all while VP's breakup was also happening.
Yes, it was all happening together. And then I didn't come that day because then you were like, no, let me figure out what's happening here.
Also, it's not like you could have come. I was at my friend's place and I was also trying to figure out what exactly happened.
And it's 1 in the night and my parents are like, you cannot leave at this point.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I think we met the next day and that's when you were telling me whatever was happening. And then even before we could process the breakup, we had to figure out, okay, now what is our living situation?
Yeah. So a week into my breakup, I'm supposed to fly to UK for my cousin's wedding. And right before that, we've just taken a house. We've not set the house. We don't know what is happening.
It's a very big house, actually.
Yeah.
The hall is like super big. Everything. Like, we've only stayed in very tiny apartments. So after college, we were like, we'll take a good apartment. We'll move. And this was a very big place. And with no furniture, no Wi-Fi, very less range in that area also. And I remember going into that house and it echoes because there's no furniture and it's so huge. And I'm just there, I'm like, there's like 15 suitcases and I'm like, what do I do in this house?
And it's a totally new locality. We know nothing about this place. We know no one around. There's not a single person who we know who at least lives in a 5-kilometer radius of that.
Everyone left after college.
Yeah.
And it was just like a very scary time. And then I remember we were like talking about this issue and her ex comes and tells us,
I can still move in with you guys since I agreed to it. And I'm like, bro, what?
I think that was like super funny because imagine after everything goes down the drain,
Yeah.
he's still like, you know what, I can still move in.
Yeah. And what actually, at that point, I was a little hurt because he's not even trying to fix things. He's just talking about moving in. When probably he should really be apologizing and trying to make up now that I would have let him in. But like,
But still, I
Yeah.
feel that was
I
very
felt
funny at that point.
but yeah. And at that point, you were also going through a heartbreak.
Yeah, and I feel the worst thing when you're going through a breakup is when you have no one around you.
Yeah.
When there's literally no one around you, no one you can talk to, no one you can confide in, that means you have to get over it all alone also.
And I think that's exactly what happened with VP because I had to leave like just in
Yeah,
the-
she left for 2 months. Alle.
yeah.
You went for 2 months to UK, and it wouldn't have been this hard if we didn't just move into a house where there's no furniture, nothing. So it feels very lonely in that house. And I remember we didn't have any money after we gave the deposit. So what I did was, no, yoga mat, I bought this thing.
Oh my god. So right before all of this, I remember this one night and just one night in this house where VP was again with her parents. There was no furniture, nothing. And I was just putting a bed sheet on the floor and trying to sleep and crying because the house is really cold, okay? It's Bangalore.
It's cold. It's way
cold and I'm just crying because I just broke up and
yeah. And I remember almost for like 1-2 months, I was alone in that house. There was only one pa, like one yoga mat kind of a pa, and I was sleeping there every day, morning, night. And then it was just such a crazy time. I remember that
Yeah.
time being so hard. And I used to think, like, if I can get through that, I can go through it.
But how did you process your breakup when you were all alone in that situation?
I called. It was bad. It was really bad. I felt like, see, that's the thing, right? When you just come out of a relationship, that person was also your best friend.
Yeah.
The person you call to tell everything. So when you're suddenly so alone in a new house with nothing and like no one's around you, who do you call? Like,
Yeah.
because this is the person you call to say everything.
It's also out of habit that, you know, someone's been your go-to person for every small thing, every small detail of your life. You're just updating someone because that's such an important part of your life. It just feels normal. And then one fine day, you wake up and you have no one to call and, you know, just check in with.
And I think also my problem in the relationship was that maybe because it was a college relationship or whatever, I felt like I lost my individuality in the process of being with someone. Like, I used to think like, without this person, who am I? Without this person in my life, it's not going to be happy or it's not going to be good. Like, I kept putting a lot of pressure on the other person also. So I feel when when a person is there in your life like that, and when they go away so soon, it's very scary.
Yeah. I think the problem with getting into a relationship at that stage is that, you know, you're just so naive and you're so young that you're also figuring out who you are as a person, that it's very easy to kind of, you know, just lose yourself in the other person.
Yeah, that is very true. But for me, it was like there was no one around me. But I think for you, there were too many people around you.
Oh my God. So while she was all by herself in Bangalore, I was surrounded by my entire family, like all my extended family, relatives, cousins. Name anyone from my family, they're all around. And which means I can't cry.
I don't know what's worse.
I can't cry. I can't talk about it to anyone because obviously I have people around, but it's not a single person I can really, you know, speak to. And even if I need to call him or, you know, even yell at him or just vent it around him household, it's not like I can do it because again, I'm in a different place with family around. So it's not like I can get on a call and cry saying, why did you break my heart? I can't do that. I can't reach out to my friends. And I'm also in a house where there's like a wedding happening. So you have a very happening house. So I can't sit and sulk when everyone's just partying and dancing and just celebrating a marriage.
So I remember you telling me where you were like, I cannot cry after my breakup.
Yeah.
And I think for the longest time, for so many months, you couldn't cry.
So I'll tell you, if my breakup happened in June, I have not cried till December. And I know I've not cried till December because December is the first time that I'm crying.
Yeah.
Like crying and howling and all of that. It took me that long. I did not sleep for a good couple months where it was so bad. Like I could not sleep. Like I would just be awake the entire night and I would just like be staring at the wall. I would not cry.
And I used to find it so I don't know why, maybe because we're so different. I used to be crying every day, and she's just like, I also want to cry. I can't cry.
So it's not like I'm a person who doesn't cry.
But you
But
couldn't.
I
It
couldn't.
was just not coming.
It's just not coming out.
And for me, it was not stopping.
Yeah.
Every minute, I'm just normally sitting like this, and it's just like tears coming, and I'm just normally sitting.
It was a mad house because if you walk in, there's one person crying all the time, but the other person just like stone cold. And the other person is also awake 24/7, which is like.
I remember during this time, we decided to take a trip to a nearby resort because we were like, we really need to cheer ourselves up.
Yeah.
So we need to go on a trip. And then we went to that resort and then we sat there and cried.
Yeah.
It was such a fail, that trip.
But how do you think you actually coped with your breakup and how long did it take? And how did you process your emotions?
I think it took me a very, very long time. Like so long that I just, even now, I keep thinking, why did it take so long? Like, imagine, like, I remember a point where I reached, where I was like, dude, why, if a person doesn't want me, why am I sitting and crying? I reached that point where I'm just trying to tell myself, if someone doesn't want you, you shouldn't cry for that person.
And I feel like if it's me or if it's any of our other friends, I kind of think that it's normal to see any of us in that position. But I think seeing you in that place was very scary because she's the kind of person who'll come and say things like, don't cry for a guy. If he doesn't want you, then just leave him. She's always been that person.
I've been very logical and practical usually. But when this happened, like you know, how you get lost in the other person, I was also very confused. How do you navigate life without that person in your life right now?
Yeah.
And I couldn't understand how to do it. And so I just kept getting lost. And I'm just like trying to get that person back in my life somehow. And I kept doing that so much that after a point, I'm like, dude, you cannot beg someone to be in your life. Like, you cannot just go and like literally ask someone so much. Like, that's not how it should be.
But another thing is, I feel like for me, at least, both my breakups have always been because I was cheated on. And that's like a clear-cut reason to walk away. That's a clear-cut no. And there's no going back or there's no getting back together after that. But in your case, it's just so vague. And I feel like it's so difficult when it's so vague.
It's very... Actually, I used to tell her that I wish I had a definitive reason for a breakup. Like, it can be anything. Like cheating and all, I'm like, okay, thank God, because you'll never go back to that person and you'll be just like, okay, bye-bye. And it's done. And there's a reason for you to hate that person because they did a bad thing. But for me, he didn't do anything. It's just that the circumstances weren't aligning and things were going in very different ways in our life. So there's nothing I could blame at that point.
So how do you make sense out of a heartbreak like that?
I just kept telling myself, if it should have worked, it wouldn't have been this tough. It wouldn't have been this hard. You wouldn't have to like literally emotionally drain yourself so much that, you know, I just kept telling myself that. And I was also like, I shouldn't have to convince the other person to be in my life.
Yeah.
Fair. Right. And even though they're going through a hard time, I'm going through a hard time individually also. If you are meant to be, you should like navigate it together.
Yeah.
Is what I
feel like a lot of times that I've heard people talk about their breakups when it's just vague and it's not just because they got cheated on or it's because a person did a bad thing. When it's something like this, I have always said this one thing that, you know, there's a lot of effort that goes into fixing something and it's important that you put in that kind of effort. But after a point, if those efforts are not taking you anywhere, then
it just emotionally drains you, then you should just let it go, I feel.
Yeah.
There's no point in like holding on to it so much that it just hurts the both of you. You should just let it go.
I feel like even though I had like a clear-cut answer to, okay, why we're not together anymore, I feel like I took a good year and a half trying to micro-analyze my entire relationship.
To make sense of it.
Entire relationship, not just the breakup, to make sense of what exactly went wrong. Because even though we were very young, I feel like it was very intense. Even for that age, even now, if I think about it, I think it's very intense.
Yeah.
So that took a lot of time, and that's what pushed me to take therapy. Because the people around me clearly were like, you're really messed up. Like, for everyone around me to tell me that,
I don't think they were like, you are messed up. They were just like, you need someone to help you process the things you're feeling.
yeah, I mean, I agree with whoever told me I was messed up. I was not sleeping for months at a stretch. I was not okay. I was just, like trying to distract myself.
Yeah, I think it
Yeah.
was going in a very bad direction after a point that you had to seek help.
Yeah.
And it is good that you actually did that at the right time.
I also feel like one of the biggest mistakes as such that I did when I'd broken up was seek closures. Because I was just so hell-bent on getting a closure or getting an explanation as to why this has happened. Not even an apology, but a reasoning. And my therapist told me that, closure is a myth. Like, that doesn't exist. And you cannot be seeking closure from another person because you're again giving someone else the power to give you a
Decide how you feel.
or decide, that this is why it ended. You can't seek that from someone.
And I think for a very long time, I remember you also telling me and asking ki, why? Why did he do this? He had everything. Why did he do this? And you kept asking him also ki, why? Why did you have to do it? And I remember that meme we saw, like, if a snake comes and bites you, will you go ask the snake why it bit you?
But I did. I went and asked, why did you bite me? Because I was just, I think, so hell-bent on getting that closure that I did meet him after a lot of months. I broke up in June, July. I met him in end of November. And it was just a very bittersweet meeting because when you meet a person that you've had such a good chunk of your life with, you want to be angry at them, but you're also having good time with them, but you're also reminiscing. And I ended up asking a lot of questions as in, why did you do this to me? Or, at least tell me where I went wrong that pushed you to do this so that I don't do this to another person again. So that's a very shitty place you put yourself. Don't go do that.
I remember doing the same.
Because I feel like that made it worse for me. And that kind of prolonged whatever progress I'd done in terms of accepting it. Because that's again getting into that spiral.
It's a loop, actually. That's very true. Because for me also, since there was no definitive reason, I was also like going back and I was like, okay, what is wrong? And like, how can I fix it? Like, is there something I did that, made you feel a certain way? Like, tell me what's wrong. And I just kept dwelling on it instead of just accepting that, okay, there is clearly something wrong. And for a very long time, that has been there. Maybe I should just accept and move on instead of asking the other person for closure. I should just find it myself.
Yeah. And I feel like what really goes wrong in a relationship, that might not happen in the next one. So it's not because you did. I'm not talking about cheating. I'm talking about what happened in your case.
Yeah, patterns basically.
Yeah.
You cannot, like, I think it's very different for different people and you cannot decide for the other person also.
Right. Yeah. So, VP, how do you think that, someone who's like really heartbroken and who wants to accept that this has happened, what can they do to get there?
See, for my way of moving on is so different, I feel, from other people. For me, it's just like, I keep telling myself, if they don't want you, then why do you want them?
Yeah.
You move on, girl. Like, you're a diva. I just keep telling myself shit like this and I just move on instead of dwelling on it and going behind the reasoning and things like that. Yeah. I just keep on telling myself, if the other person doesn't give a fuck, then you don't give a fuck. You move on.
I've actually tried doing that, and I'm the kind of person where this doesn't work, sadly, because I feel like for me to get over something or for my brain to like process something, I need a reasoning. And once I know why, I can get past it and get to another thing. So I can't start something fresh with something that's already bugging me in the head.
For me, it's also like self-respect. Like, if I reach a point where I feel like there is no self-respect left in me,
100%.
then it's like my identity, my everything will just crumble.
Yeah.
So I need to feel that, like, dude, you are someone and you have these qualities, and if another person cannot see it, then that's their loss.
Yeah. I feel like the best thing that I did was no contact with the person whatsoever. And it's so sad because we all had the same friend group.
So you it was so
Hill, I also sadly distanced myself from a lot of my very close friends because I did not really want access to him at a certain point.
And also you shouldn't stalk the person after
I will not do that.
I think that's the worst thing you can do when you obviously you'll be blocked on your main account. So don't make a fake account and then go stalk that person.
And don't take your friend's phone to just stalk that person. Yeah, don't do that.
Don't do
Like,
it.
I feel like the less access you have
Yeah.
to someone's life, the lesser information that you know about them,
It's easier to move on.
it's easier to move on. Like, just have no contact. I think that really worked for me. Not knowing much about how the person is doing. And especially sitting with how I felt. I was sad, but I was not trying to distract myself. Because I tried distracting myself as well. I distracted myself, but I was okay for a very temporary period of time. And then I would feel worse than how I felt.
The thing, how long in your life will you keep distracting yourself? You have to sit with it. You have to feel it. And that's the only way you can get over it.
Yeah. But the only problem I have with a lot of people who are going through this phase is not even the fact that they distract themselves. They will sit and cry about it. And you 100% need to cry about it. You need to like really go through it. But why are you involving the person who made you cry a part of this whole process? Why are you in touch with like a lot of people?
So another thing which I feel is weird is when you break up and everything is done, you are like, it's okay, I want the other person to follow me to see how well I am doing in life. And that's just a reason they use to stay in contact.
Yeah.
I've seen people do that. Haven't you seen people do that?
Yeah. That's just something I don't understand.
Yeah. Because I feel if it's a clean break, they shouldn't have access to my life at any cost.
I also don't agree with being friends with your ex or staying in touch at no cost. But I feel like these are, again, things that you can decide for yourself, right?
Yeah.
Like what works best for you, how you heal. But ideally, in a situation, especially when there's like a deal breaker where you cannot get back together, just don't stay in touch. Don't keep spiraling back and forth. Don't make them a part of your healing process. And I feel like having friends in a situation like this will also keep you from getting into another relationship just to distract yourself just because you're low.
And you need friends who are very real with you also, where they can just be like,
Yeah, like shut the fuck up.
Yeah. You need someone like that.
Whack you.
Yeah.
Because I was getting whacked. I did not make a lot of sense back then. But yeah.
I liked that phase where I was like literally like bullying you into like.
Yeah, my God. It was terrible.
Yeah. I remember asking her, there's nothing in your head. You can't understand.
After a point, I stopped talking to VP about these things because she was just yelling at me. I was like, okay, I don't want to be
I wanted to get like sense into her.
Yeah.
But it worked out for the best at the end of the day. Because I think when we even look back right now, we are very, very grateful that we had this heartbreak so that it could pave way for character development.
Yeah. And I feel like this heartbreak is what really shaped me into the person I am today.
Yeah.
Because obviously, first heartbreaks and all are sad and it's definitely difficult and stuff. But I feel like, again, it happens at a younger age and you can get past it easier than whatever's recent.
Yeah. It's like in your 20s, a guy will come to break your heart. Let him. So that you can get that character development.
I hope that was the guy who broke my heart and now no one's coming again to break my heart.
Yeah, no more development left in me.
Yeah.
I think even I really wanted to start therapy after the breakup because I really needed help to make sense of things, to help me process my emotions, but I couldn't. Because for me, when I'm like starting to talk to someone only, like if I go sit in a couch and I have to talk to someone, I'll start crying. Like even before they ask anything, they'll be just like, how are? And then I'll be crying.
But that's crazy because it took me like easily a year to start crying in therapy. I would cry. I actually wouldn't know what to say. So I would just act like I'm all okay. And then my therapist literally told me, you don't have to be so performative here. So I know you're not okay.
I remember telling you also, you are paying a lot. So you better tell the truth to them.
Yeah, it took me a while to get a hang of it, but at least I'm glad that even though I started late, that was the way I coped. Because a lot of people have very, very scary ways of coping.
Yeah, they do. But yeah, it's a good way of coping actually. I think even though it took a very long time, it's good that you came out of it.
Yeah,
Instead of like jumping from one thing to another, because that is one way that people usually cope with things.
and it's so scary because if a person is using, like just jumping from one relationship to another to cope from a heartbreak, then it's just so difficult on the other person as well.
Yeah.
Whoever they're getting into a relationship
Shouldn't
with.
put people through that. I feel when you are like, when you're jumping from one person to the other or from something to something, there's no recovery happening, right?
Yeah.
You're just like going from one place to another, and then you have to wait after everything for like an explosion to happen.
That's true. I feel like at some point it can really drain you out and you might have to process everything all at once.
Altogether.
Or maybe you just don't get the time to realize what exactly went wrong.
I think that's exactly why it's so important to just take your time and heal before getting into like another relationship.
Yeah. I also feel like, see, for me, I took over a year and a half to get out of it. And I feel like something that I was really getting into, which was a negative pattern. And I feel like a lot of people who take time to get out of a relationship get into this thing where after a point we start romanticizing the pain, the heartbreak. After a point, we're just so comfortable dwelling in the sadness, like reminiscing something that's not even there, but romanticizing the idea that, okay, we were together at one point and things were happy. And that was like, and I don't have it anymore. You're not thinking that, okay, this person cheated on you, you better move on. It's been time. You're not thinking.
I think it's because of all the movies that we watch growing up that we romanticize being heartbroken. And he was just like, he was my soulmate. We're not meant to be together, but he was the love.
I feel like I generally think that I'm kind of a sad person. Okay, like I love sad songs. Even if I'm in a good headspace, I will listen to sad songs. So imagine being in a negative headspace and making multiple playlists. I have playlists for all languages, depending on the intensity of my heartbreak. Yeah, I'm not even joking. I have playlists where this entire phase is called denial, and there will be songs for denial. There will be songs for grief. There are songs for acceptance as well.
Then that too you reached very late.
Yeah, that happened very late. Now I have the acceptance playlist going on.
Tell one song in that playlist.
In the acceptance playlist, bro, Kuch To Hai Na is an acceptance song. I don't know why I listen to this song, Kuch To Hai Na, and I don't want him to be Kush, but I'm still like, oh. Nice.
Yeah, but saying that, I think we need to move to Room for South.
Yes.
Because there's this movie, okay, that I noticed that she was watching a movie for like 5 days. And I'm like, what is this movie that's just going on for 5 days and it's never ending?
Every time if you would just see, like, check on what am I watching, I'm watching the same thing.
Yeah, she's watching the same thing. And I'm like, man, this movie's not ending. And then she's like, it's a movie with 2 parts and it's extremely sad. So I couldn't watch it in one go.
I could not get myself to, just sit at a stretch and finish it because it just took so much out of me. It was just making me so sad. And I just felt like the time that I took watching it, which is very heartbreaking.
Yeah, and she was just sad the entire time she's watching. And I'm like, what is happening? Like, why are you watching such a sad movie? But she's like, it's so good, but it's a very good movie.
It's a very beautiful movie, but it's also very heartbreaking. And I watched it when I was doing well. Like, I was not heartbroken at that point. I had healed.
And this is a Kannada movie.
This is a Kannada movie. There are 2 parts. So it's called Sapta Sagarachi Yedo. I hope I'm wrong. I'm saying the right thing, but yeah. There's side A and there's side B. Yeah. And it's just...
Do you want to tell a little bit about the movie without telling the context?
So the movie is about 2 people who are together. The guy is a driver. Okay. And the girl is also just doing small jobs and they're together and they want to start a life together and get married. So they have these dreams of having a better life because they come from a not well-to-do place. Like, so they want a better life for themselves and they're just so in love and the guy just wants to make everything happen for this girl.
Okay.
But an unfortunate incident happens where he has to take up the blame for something he did not do. in expectation that he'll get paid for it so that he can provide money.
Okay.
So that he can take the money and they can have a better life.
Okay.
But an unfortunate series of events and that doesn't happen.
Tragedy, basically.
It's a very sad movie. Like, yeah, they don't end up together. Oh, it's just too heartbreaking. I don't want to think about it. But please watch it.
Okay.
And just cry.
And don't take 5 days like you did.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't take 5 days, but like if you're taking 2 days, then it'll be extremely depressing set of 2 days.
Okay. Do you have any other movies to recommend?
Yeah. There is this one Malayalam movie. I know the Malayalis watching this would have probably watched it already. This is not for you. But for anyone who hasn't, this movie called Maya Nadi. Oh my God.
Yeah, it's a really good movie. I mean, I watched it like long back and I remember the music and the songs, like everything just coming so well together. Like,
I feel like the way the relationship and the breakup
it's
how we
portrayed.
deal with it is portrayed in a very realistic way.
Yeah.
Like
Actually, yeah.
that is how a lot of breakups are. That is how a lot of relationships function. And I feel like that is a thing about Malayalam cinema, right? Like they're very realistic in how they show life and relationships and love as such.
Yeah.
So yeah,
That's a
2 movies.
must watch.
Yeah.
Definitely from my side also.
Beautiful songs.
Yeah. So I think that's it from us for this episode.
Comment down below your sad breakup stories or how you got out of your breakup or how you coped.
We need new ideas.
You just need new ways of coping.
Yeah. So yeah, that's it from us today. So follow us on Instagram. Follow Lost the Plot for more updates.
And if you like this episode, like, share and subscribe. See you very, very soon.
Yes.
Bye.